Hello, it's Reverend Sully, Eric O'Sullivan, ordained on the internet. As always, the caveat, please do not burn your hands holding on to my hot takes. If you burn your fingers, well, that's on you. It is the 20th anniversary of 9/11. What does that mean? It means a lot to us, Americans, yeah. And I remember that day very vividly. It was a beautiful, beautiful day. I got up to go to work. I was working at Harvard Law School at the time, an office job. I was taking a break from being a chef for about 4 years. Um, Went to work, and about 8:30 in the morning or so, maybe, what was it, about 8:20 something, my phone rings, and it's my best friend Scotty from high school, Scotty Wilson. And he's like, get to a TV right now. A plane had just flew into the World Trade Center. Now, this didn't set off my BS meter off the bat, because in the 1940s or 50s, it was a very cloudy day and a plane flew into the Empire State Building. So this has happened before. So I get to the student union, and there's one of the towers smoldering. And then we see a plane creep into view, into the frame. And that was just so weird to see. And then it flew right into the second tower. And we all saw that on national television. And that happened. And I remember being at work all day, and I was listening to Howard Stern all day, to be honest. I had it on quietly because, I had ladies in the office, so I didn't want to, insult them by having this, provocative shock jock on. Yet he dropped all pretense of shock jock. And he was literally having phone calls from people on the streets and on the scene in Manhattan and trying to figure this out. And he stayed on as long as he could on the radio. And I was really impressed with him that day. He did a really good job. And we all got let out of work early that day. But before we got let out, I remember there was this old couple that was very worried about their daughter. And I called the daughter's cell phone from because their phone, and left them a message. Left her a message, and she ended up calling our parents on the cell phone, so they were relieved. So that's something I did on that day to make someone feel better. One of my best friends from my adult life was working at the Graduate School of Design, Peter Fernandez. We got let out about the same time, and we just did what we could do. We went to IHOP and got some pancakes. We went to another friend of mine's house and had some beer and played some video games to try to be as normal as possible. I also remember the next day, on the 12th, it was another beautiful morning, and looking at my skyline of Boston and looking at the Hancock Tower. And my girlfriend at the time just, reassured me and rubbed my shoulder and said, don't worry, they'll be okay. Knowing that I was worried about my buildings too, and this uncertainty. But now here we are, 20 years later, and what have we become? What's become of that? I mean, it's a mixed bag. It's what we're living today as well. But also, I see September 11th, 2001 as a natural dividing line in history, in American history, to clearly cleft us from the 20th century and into the 21st century. I find that September 11th actually should be used as a line to say anything before this date was a different American history. It was distinctly the 20th century. Anything after that, well, most obviously it is the 21st century. But as policy goes and as American attitudes go, I mean, since then, we've just lost more and more and more of our freedoms to security. And is that the balance of life? And I don't know. Yet I know that everyone getting onto a plane since then has these elaborate screening processes, when there was clearly that the people who hijacked the planes were of a nation state and culture, and came across the borders illegally. And one of my jokes is that the two planes that came out of Boston hit the towers, and that the 9/11 memorial should be some Massport employee with a scratch ticket in one hand and a Dunkin's in the other, just shrugging their shoulders at the metal detector. And that's an old joke. That's a bad joke. But it's a joke still the same. It was written, and it has a setup, and it has a punchline. And it's a bad joke, but it's my joke all the same. But 20 years later, is this a time for reflection or what? I don't know. And 20 years later, I still can't watch that movie, United 93. I know, I mean, having to look at this footage all these years later, but to be honest, there's something in life called the Adverse Childhood Experience Score, and it's called the ACE score, and it's a metric that psychologists use to, it's a metric used in psychology about adverse childhood experiences of trauma. I think that Americans, their ACE score, all of our ACE scores need to go up by 1 because of seeing this that day and reliving it and seeing the people jump out of the tower and seeing the planes go into the buildings and seeing the first responders go into those buildings and seeing those buildings crumble. And today, the first responders need to be defunded. And today, if like that's what you believe, I'm not going to tell you what to believe. All I know is that since then, our freedoms are negotiable for security. That the airplanes are just, the lines. That's just what a hassle. And for this, illusion of security. I mean, hopefully it's working, but I don't know. I don't want to go on to this much longer. I mean, it's the 20th anniversary of 9/11. It should be a national holiday. Maybe a day off for everyone, and maybe move voting day to it. That's a nice solution, wouldn't it? Well, that's all I have to say. Give me a thumbs up if you like this. Give me a thumbs down if you didn't like this material. I'm a big lad. I can handle it. Leave a comment in the comment section. Where were you on September 11th? How do you feel today? Do you still feel it after all these years? I do. Give me a subscribe if you like this content. I make happier content than this. I make cooking videos and spirituality. And I appreciate you tuning in. And God bless you. God bless America. God bless all of us. And thank you. Cheers.